Welcome to Waywut. This is a rabbit hole podcast where we cover topics ranging from sports to true crime and pop culture to just weird facts. Really, it's just a couple of guys taking turns to present weird topics to each other. We publish episodes on Tuesdays and sometimes on Fridays. You can watch us on YouTube and listen pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, just wherever. We're probably there. We really appreciate you joining us for this episode. And now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go. Hello. Welcome again to yet another episode of Waywut. My name is Daryl. I will be today's host, driver, whatever. And here I am with the guy who is still eagerly waiting for John Travolta and Christian Slater to do another movie together. Jason.
We're waiting a long time for that one.
I don't know.
Had they only done one, right? Just the Broken Arrow movie?
Yeah.
That I've never seen before.
I mean, like, John Travolta's career has slidden down considerably. I mean, he's doing, like, just straight to streaming stuff, and Christian Slater, does straight to streaming stuff. I mean, it's just a matter of time before they team up with Steven Seagal or something.
There's only one good thing that came out of that movie.
What, Broken Arrow?
Yeah, the Howie scream.
Oh, no. There's some really great things in that movie. John Travolta is an amazing bad guy. He
is a good bad guy.
He was slick in that movie. He was super
To be honest,
slick.
I haven't even seen the movie, but I just, on a future topic, the Howie scream came up, and it was from that movie, from Howie Long.
Whenever he gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now that we're done talking about 90s movies, I am going to start today off with a clumsy guy rant. Because
you're clumsy.
I am not one that would be referred to as graceful. Surprise. The unathletic guy? What? When I was 12 years old, I was playing frisbee soccer in the gym for PE.
Flying disc soccer.
It was frisbee soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the coach said.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to slip on the frisbee into 95% of a Home Alone fall. So, legs up in the air, back down. But it was only 90
machine, yeah.
Yeah, 5% that didn't go up was my other leg. And since it decided,
I remember that.
I landed on it and fractured it. Hooray.
I remember that.
Yeah. Being 12 years old, my top priority at the time was to be cool. Slipping on a frisbee at school and ending up in crutches did not help achieve that goal.
Crutches are terrible.
No, they sucked. I mean, only time it made me popular was at lunchtime whenever I'd get to leave early. And then if I picked the wrong person, they would just go early with me, but then not help me.
Jackasses.
Never mind. I'm not going to go in on that. Back then it was embarrassing, but my mushy child brain would have exploded if it had to deal with the embarrassment of being a clumsy adult. And it's not because, I'm not cool looking. It's worse because it's hard to appear as a functional adult when you can't do something as simple as, I don't know, walk down a damn sidewalk or sit in a chair.
Mm-hmm. Get up from a chair.
Imagine this. 38-year-old Daryl. He's a father. He's the head of a department at a software company. He's a guy that managed to sit in a chair in a way that made one of his legs fall asleep. He's a guy that thought he could stand up on a numb leg. This was at work, and I don't even think that I had to get up at the time. At least not that I can remember, because the only part that stands out to me is falling on my ass in front of everyone in the office. Yeah. What makes it worse?
Your authority.
Yeah. What makes it worse is that I realized that I was going to fall, whenever I started to go, and I tried to aim my ass to where I would just plop back into my seat, but it did not go as planned.
No.
I did not manage to grab the armrest to secure the chair, So as soon as my ass hit the seat, it shot out like a fucking cannonball into the chair of the person that sat behind me. Is because
You're
it
trying to
wasn't.
grab wet soap.
Yeah, it wasn't fun falling. That wasn't enough fun. I had to make sure I made enough noise to get everyone's attention. On the plus side, most people managed to ask if I was okay before they started to laugh at me.
You got to check first. You got to make sure you're still stifling that laugh. Are you okay?
I'm fairly certain my friend John laughed first, though. We'll see. I'm
Oh,
sure
I'm just
he'll
getting the
tell me.
visual. Oh, man.
On the plus
That's
side, that
good.
one had an explanation. My leg was asleep, and I'm stupid. Uh, you know,
That's good stuff.
yeah, it's a lot worse whenever you just forget how to walk. The thing I've been doing since I was 1.
Mm-hmm.
So let's fast forward about 4 or 5 years later, and I need to pick up my kid from school. I do as one does and exit the front door and begin walking from the front door to my truck that is parked on the street. There was a step on our walkway. It wasn't a 5 foot tall, you know, drop or nothing. It was just a normal, step down on a sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
As I traversed the very normal size step, rather than my foot landing heel first, I did the opposite and stepped with the tip of my toe like a ballerina.
Which you
Unlike
are
a
not.
yo
Although you
no, I
look
am.
great in a tutu.
Oh, gross. So, being that I'm not a ballerina, I fell face first towards the sidewalk. Now, fortunately, I was able to put my hands up to catch me on the fall, but unfortunately, one of those hands had my phone in it.
Mm.
Yeah, I crashed in the ground, shattered the screen of my phone. And was I lucky enough to do this without an audience? Of course not. Our neighbors were having yard work done. They were doing some stone stuff in their front yard. So there was a group of, grown men that are capable of walking on 2 feet that saw me crash down and holding my skin knee like I was a 5-year-old. It's not fun.
Man.
All right. So why am I talking about this? It's because I should not be trusted with important items. I do not want to be trusted with important items. I accept that about me, and I attempt to make choices that, to prevent me messing anything up or having any casualties in my fall, dragging somebody down with me. You
Right.
know, the
You're on
only
nobody's list to carry out a wedding cake.
yeah. And so far I've been doing pretty well. My clumsiness has only had, 3 victims: me, my phone, and that my dog's tail that one time, but I don't want to talk about that. You know who doesn't think that way? The US government. You know what items they're in charge of that they need to be careful with?
Your
Nuclear
postal.
weapons.
Oh, well. I was going to
Not
say
postal
mail.
workers. No, nuclear weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They got those
So
in hand, too.
let's talk about some crazy stuff that's happened with nuclear weapons on American soil.
All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. Sorry, it's not about mail, Jason, but that's your department.
Is that a pun?
No, how's that a pun? There's
Mail
lots of
department?
departments. The word. You're too sensitive. Well, as I alluded to earlier with my clever introduction of Jason,
Mm-hmm.
the term broken arrow. Do you know what a broken arrow is? Besides the movie with Christian Slater, a really cool villain, John Travolta, and a very bad acting Howie Long?
Yeah, I'm going to guess nuclear code being broke.
No, not exactly. Close. I mean, it does involve nuclear weapons. It is what the government calls an unexpected event involving nuclear weapons that result in accidental launching, firing, detonating, theft, or loss of the weapon.
Oh,
So,
now that's a loss of a weapon. That's a pretty big deal.
yeah. So essentially, it is a nuclear weapon that is not where it is supposed to be, whether it is lost, stolen, or, we accidentally blew it up.
Yeah, they put out an Amber Alert or something.
Since 1950, there are 32 known broken arrow incidents. And I say known because I'm surprised that the public is aware of 32 of them. I'm
Yeah,
surprised that that's
I
out.
don't think they want that information getting out. And by
Yeah.
the way, we lost our nuke, but we found it, so everything's okay. Everything's okay.
But that's the 32 they admitted to. So 32 times that they've admitted to. Now, I might be okay if there was just one time that this happened. But in my humble opinion, any more than one is a bit crazy.
Yeah,
It's too much.
it's like having your bank robbed 32 times. Learn from it.
Maybe we should lock stuff up.
Yeah. Do we need a safe?
A security guard? Now, as much as I would love to go over all 32 of these, because, they're all insane in their own way, I don't want to be here all day, and it's already going to be a longer episode, so I'm limiting myself to the ones that have happened here in the States. Unfortunately, that's still too many.
Oh, man.
So instead, I'm going to focus on the ones that resulted in an explosion, had a potential explosion that, or, just in general could have been disastrous, really bad.
A potential explosion? Aren't all bombs potential explosions?
Well, I mean, you'll see. I don't mean like a
Okay.
bomb sitting there potentially exploding. That's, I mean hurling through the sky and crashing into things, potential
Get intercepted.
explosion.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now, I mean, fortunately, a lot of these, they were smart enough not to have the little nuclear piece that, makes things go crazy in there, but they were still pretty jacked up.
Enough
All
to do some
right.
harm.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we'll start with the time that the Air Force dropped a nuke on a cow. Wow.
Man, I must have been hungry.
May 22nd, 1957. A hydrogen bomb was being transported from Biggs Air Force Base in Texas to the Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico.
Okay.
They were approaching their destination, so Kirtland, Air Force Base, and they were already down to like 1,700 feet. So they're
Pretty
not
low.
very high in there.
Yeah,
They're
pretty
pretty
low.
dang low. Yeah. When all of a sudden the bomb falls out of the plane. But not the way that you would think, like bed down the hatches, bombs away. No. It fell down inside of the plane and it knocked the bomb bay doors open. It went plummeting to the ground. Now, the bomb did have a parachute to slow the fall, because you generally want that so it doesn't blow up while you're trying to fly away from where you're blowing up. But at that low of an altitude, it made no difference. By the time that thing deployed, it was already almost on the ground. Fortunately, the nuclear capsule was not inserted in the bomb. So instead of a nuclear explosion, it was just a really, really big explosion.
It's a little oopsie.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
go on.
I was just gonna say it could have been a bigger oopsie that just was still a much smaller oopsie. Yeah.
Now, to be safe, they did check for radioactivity and they did not find anything dangerous, normal levels. According to one source I found, there was no one injured, but one cow that was grazing near the blast was killed. Now, personally, I would like to think that it was two Soviet spies disguised as a cow, and this was a successful mission to eliminate the threat.
Where did it fall again? Where did it land at?
In New Mexico.
Just not a city, just somewhere in New Mexico.
No, just in an empty field out, in New Mexico, on its way to Kirtland Air Force Base.
Damn.
All right, we'll go to the next one. February 5th. Yeah, poor cow. You know,
Poor cow.
this is thoughts and prayers to the cow and its family.
Tasted good, but poor cow.
February 5th, 1958. A B 47 carrying a 7,600-pound nuclear bomb took off from Homestead Air Force Base in Florida. They were doing a night combat simulation mission, so combat practice. Around 2 a.m., an F 86 fighter collided with the bomb toting B 47. Oops.
Again.
Yeah. The F 86 began going down, and the pilot successfully ejected before the plane crashed, so good for him. The B 47 was damaged, but the pilot was able to regain control and was able to keep the plane in the air. So the big plane was able to kind of stay in the air. However, they were not quite out of danger, and the crew of the B 47 requested permission to reduce the weight of the plane by dropping the 7,600-pound bomb.
Pick anything else.
Nope, permission was granted.
Oh, man.
Because if they crashed while doing an emergency landing back at Hunter Air Force Base, they didn't want to risk the bomb exploding and, destroying the base and killing all the people there. So it's like, just drop it somewhere where there aren't people. They dropped the bomb while at 7,200 feet, and there was no explosion. So unlike last one, there was no explosion. The bomb did not detonate, and they safely landed the plane.
Oh, crisis averted.
Now, whether or not this particular bomb was armed for a nuclear explosion is still unsure. The Air Force says that the nuclear capsule was removed before the plane took off. Documents at the time confirm that, no aircraft was authorized to fly with nuclear capsules on board. However, during a congressional hearing in 1966, an assistant Secretary of Defense, W.J. Howard, claimed that the bomb did actually have its nuclear capsule installed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they recover it?
Well, I was about to say,
okay.
Whether or not it would have been a big boom or the biggest boom, they still needed to recover the bomb. Mm-hmm. On February 6th, they began searching for the discarded bomb. They searched until April 16th when they announced that they couldn't find it.
Oh, hell. Freaking Farmer Joe has it in his barn right now.
Well, no, not necessarily, because it's speculated the bomb is buried beneath the silt at the bottom of Wassaw Sound. That's a very Eastern word. Wassaw Sound. In 2004, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Derek Duke claimed that he narrowed the search area for the bomb to an area about the size of a football field by dragging a Geiger counter behind his boat.
Okay.
Yeah. He found an area with 4 times the radioactivity than the area around it.
Well, that's a good indication.
Yeah. I mean, is good a good word for that, though?
Oh, well, you probably don't want to fish there, but...
Well, it'll be okay, because the Air Force said that probably isn't right. And that's natural radioactivity in that area, where they just happen to accidentally ditch a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. Just natural. It just happens naturally all the time.
Yeah, and that's where this story ends. There's a 56-year-old nuclear weapon just somewhere off in the East Coast, out in some water, under some silt.
Wow.
Just being a nuclear weapon,
Just waiting to get blowed up.
Yeah. Now, next is the time that the the United States military bombed a family in South Carolina.
Okay, can you pause for 1 second?
Okay.
The United States military is very prestigious, and they're very feared around the world, and all the good stuff you can say about them. But these blunders are ridiculous. I mean, you're dealing with a nuclear weapon. You think they would be on their safest executed plans, but yet, I mean, I know shit happens, but come on. It's crazy. I'm sorry. Continue.
I get it. I mean, I would kind of assume the same thing. I mean, I guess, if I was like a government spokesperson, I'd be like, well, yes, these are 32 instances of that, but had we not had our safety measures, it could have been hundreds.
The way they could spin everything is just mind blowing.
All
It
right.
could have
Well,
been worse. It could have been way worse.
yeah. Well, this is one of those ones which is a little worse. March 11th, 1958. A few weeks after the Air Force lost a nuclear bomb off at the East Coast, a Boeing B 47E LM Stratojet took off from Hunter Air Force Base. That's where that other one made that emergency landing.
Mm.
It was headed to the United Kingdom as part of Operation Snow Flurry, which was practice for dropping nukes on the Soviet Union. Something we needed to be good at back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the previous bomb, they were transporting the bomb without installing the nuclear capsule. At least that's what the last one claimed, making it, a really, really big bomb instead of a really big nuclear bomb. You know, Now, whenever I say really big, I mean it had 2 tons of high grade explosives in it.
Oh, was that all?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, just
Did
two tons.
just 2 bags of fertilizer blow up the Oklahoma City building?
No, that was like a
I
moving
mean,
truck full.
either way, it wasn't 2 tons worth.
No, well, I don't know. You can fit a lot. I don't know. Whatever. Uh, while in the air, the pilot saw a light indicating that the bomb harness pin was not engaged properly. Captain Bruce Kulka, the navigator slash bombardier for the plane, went to the bomb bay to see what was up. He found that a steel locking pin was not inserted into one of the harnesses that held the bomb up in the event the electrical lock that held the bomb up released.
Mm.
So you
A safety
got
measure.
basically a piece of metal that's supposed to be under the bomb. It's not there. And it's
Okay.
supposed to be there just in case, the electric lock holding it accidentally lets go.
Yeah, the safety measure,
Yeah.
the
So,
backup plan.
yeah, a manual, like it's kind of like how parking
Don't
brakes
trust
on
it. Yeah.
on cars are mechanical brakes. It's a wire that's actually pulling tight. It's kind of the same thing. This is a mechanical solution, that
Okay.
won't rather than electrical. Um, Kulka began trying to put the pin back in. Whenever he accidentally caused the opposite to happen and the bomb fell on the bomb bay door.
Oh
As we
no!
as we saw earlier, those doors can't handle thousands of pounds falling on them, and it
Uh-uh.
knocked them open. Now Kulka, who's right next to it, managed to get away from the open doors and not fall 15,000 feet. However, the bomb was not that lucky and plummeted straight towards the ground.
Look out!
Yeah. Hey, my bad.
4.
Heads up. Duck and cover. Mars Bluff was an unincorporated neighborhood in Florence County, South Carolina. A man named Walter Gregg was working in his detached garage as his wife was doing, 1950s housewife stuff in the house,
Wearing a dress and high
yeah,
heels, still washing dishes.
and an apron and,
Mm-hmm.
probably baking cookies.
Oh yeah, sitting a
Yeah,
pile on the winter counter.
exactly. Their children and their niece were playing in the yard between the house and the garage. So you got a detached garage, house. Walter's over here, and his wife's over in the house, and the kids are playing in the middle. The bomb landed 150 yards away from their house and
Oh
just
man,
50 yards away from the garage where Walter was working.
how high were they when the bomb fell?
15,000 feet.
Okay, so much higher.
Yeah. Walter said he saw the plane fly over, and 5 seconds later, the explosion hit and it blew the side and roof off of the garage and the house as well. So the sides facing the explosion plus the roof, gone. He looked and saw that the kids were not dead and that his wife was alive. So he's like, whew. And Walter, in classic 1950s Giga Chad fashion, said that he felt really lucky for him and his family. It is fortunate that everyone survived, but I would dare not refer to myself as lucky.
No.
Your country's military just happened to bomb your house. Out of everyone, I would not consider myself lucky. Well, I mean, they are lucky that they live, but
Yes. Wow.
although no one died. You can keep going. You can ask your question.
I'm going to wait till you finish. Make sure you're about to get to it, probably.
All right. Although no one died, there were injuries. Walter had a deep cut on his arm. His wife had a cut on her head. And anybody out there is like, why don't you call his wife by his name? The reporting of things back then were always like Mrs. Walter Gregg. So don't get mad at me. Get mad at 1950s reporters. We've moved on from that now. Grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Their kids had superficial injuries. Their niece got it the worst. She actually had internal bleeding and had to have surgery.
Dang.
Being that she is the worst injured and the one that did not live at that house with them, I'd argue that she was the jinx that drew that bad luck to them.
Yeah. Okay. I could buy into that.
Yeah, if that was my niece, she would not be coming over anymore. For the rest of her birthdays, I'd be giving her like rabbit's feet and 4-leaf clovers and whatever other Lucky Charm marshmallow shapes that were necessary to straighten her ass out. One of these is going to fix you, kid. Other than the Gregg family, there 5 other houses and a church were also damaged by the blast, but no other specified injuries came up that I could find. They used nice vague words like several injuries, but was the injuries of the family all of those several injuries, or were there like some people in town that were some? Who knows? They wouldn't say. The Greggs later sued the Air Force, and I bet that's what you're about to ask about.
That's my question was. I'm like, there's got to be a lawsuit. Okay.
The Greggs later sued the Air Force and won $54,000.
That's
That is like $500,000 in today's money.
But still, you drop a bomb.
Yeah, because I mean, if that happened nowadays, then I'd actually probably call that guy lucky. Because you'd be the winner of the federal government lottery. They drop a bomb in your house. Here, have $100 million so you won't tweet about this.
Not the hell with that. They'd be moving into the White House. I don't need a house. I got to live in this room right here. I'm good to go.
I'd be like, you know how you cut those like billions of dollar checks for foreign countries? Mm-hmm. I want one of those checks made payable to me.
Add me to the mailing list.
You can go ahead and just sign that over here. I'll be in Vegas.
Man, that's still not a lot of money. That's crazy. Did they offer that to them, or you said they were sued and then they settled, or is that what they?
It didn't say if it was settled. It just said that they sued and that's what they got. I don't know if it was what they were awarded. I mean, if you want to really be depressed about this, I don't know if 50's lawyer rates were the same, but if they took 1/3 of that, then, it's even less.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. The flight crew that, from the, ones that accidentally dropped that, they were transferred overseas. I don't know if that was a punishment or not. It didn't say if they were transferred to like some Arctic base or like Fiji. The crew in another, sign of the times, wrote an apology letter to the Greggs. Dear civilians, oops,
yeah.
my bad.
That bomb that fell in y'all's front yard? I'm sorry
Dear
about that.
Mr. Greg, I'm sorry for dropping 2 tons of explosives on your ass. I hope you're doing well. Did you watch the newest episode of Leave It to Beaver? Oh, no, you can't. I blew up your TV. You know. Well, as for the government, they decided to use explosive lemons to make, explosive lemonade and took the opportunity to show the country how safe they were with nuclear weapons, since their precautions with that bomb did prevent, this accidental explosion from being an accidental nuclear explosion.
Oh, we messed up, but look also how good we are.
I mean, hey, we could have turned this area into a radioactive wasteland instead of just a regular wasteland.
Yeah, y'all are lucky. Y'all are
Consider,
lucky
yeah,
we are in charge.
yeah. However, in a absolute dick move, they confiscated all the pieces of the bomb that the local children found and tried to take as souvenirs.
Well, I could probably see that. And they might have radioactive shit on it.
I guess, but I mean, still, it's just, hook them up with something and be like, all right,
Yeah,
kid, here's a bullet.
true. I agree with that. If you catch a baseball
Hey,
bat in a game, they're going to want it back, but they're going to give
you
them something else.
you stay here. I'm gonna go chuck a grenade over there. You can get whatever pieces of that you want
Yeah,
after it blows up.
yeah, gotta give them something.
You
Can't
have
just take
fun,
it away from them.
kids.
They already blew the
There,
roof off their house.
yeah, there are so many of these. I've gone over 3 so far, and like I said, there's 32 technically. This is going to be the last one. If people out there want to learn more about like broken arrows, let us know on Facebook, Twitter, or comments or whatever, and I'll unsettle us some more with nuclear weapon whoopsies. But in the meantime, I'm going to jump onto this last one.
I like it. I don't
All
like
right.
that they made great mistakes, but I like the story.
You like knowing about it.
Yeah.
All right. Just after midnight, January 24th, 1961.
Once
A
again, what's
boat.
his time frame?
What? It's all been in the 50s and
50s and
60s.
60s. I know. What's going
Yeah.
on?
We were a
That's
little
supposed to be
new
the
in the
greatest
nuclear age,
generation.
man. I mean, I'll tell you now, most of the other incidents is mainly one, they happen over foreign soil, and two, it's mostly, like, hey, where'd it go?
I set it down over there.
Yeah. January 24th, 1961, a Boeing B-52 Stratofortress was carrying two 3.8 megaton nuclear bombs. Now, while over Goldsboro, North Carolina, so glad I don't live in a Carolina. This is the second Carolina in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The plane began breaking apart in the air.
Oops.
Now, I would say something about this being a Boeing plane that just fell apart in the air, but the folks that do that keep ending up dead. So I'm not going to do that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Were you about to say something before I talked
No.
over you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Well, after a worsening fuel leak, the plane diverted for an emergency landing, because plane's falling apart.
Good reason to
But
make an emergency landing.
yeah, over at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. But on the way, they lost a wing. And so the plane went out of control.
Yeah, kind of hard to control with a plane with one wing.
Yeah. The pilot ordered an ejection. Five of the crew successfully ejected. One died on landing. Sucks. And two were not able to eject and died in the crash. So
You mean
this is the
eject? They're
first.
all in separate plane or separate seats, and
It's
they're
a
able to eject.
Stratofortress. This thing's huge.
Okay, I've never
A
seen it. It was like a
flying
big
fortress.
bubble or something.
It's a
Okay,
big giant bomb thing. Yeah. So you got all these different compartments and areas. It's giant.
I'm just envisioning people jumping out of the side of the airplane. No,
Uh,
with parachutes.
yeah. No, this had ejection spots. The problem is it's really big, and you got like these little gunner pods and all that in them. I can't say for sure. I was not military. I just flew it on a video game a few times. I ain't gonna lie. So yeah, unlike any of the other ones, this one actually had human casualties. So that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So as the plane fell to pieces, the 2 bombs fell from the plane. The plane's fuel ignited in the air as it was going down, causing it to explode as it was breaking apart. The wreckage covered 2 square miles of farmland in Faro, North Carolina. The bomb disposal unit from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base arrived quickly to the scene, because you got a couple of, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
nuclear bombs there. The base also notified the Atomic Energy Commission that rounded up some nuclear scientists and engineers that arrived at the crash site 22 hours after the crash. You don't keep those on hand like you do Bomb Squad. These bombs were larger and built differently than the runaway nukes that I talked about before. These weighed over 9,000 pounds each.
Wow.
And did not need a nuclear capsule inserted. These are always in a complete state. So this is whenever we started advancing how we do our nuclear weapons. They're like, hey, remember how we could safely not have the nuclear part in a bomb if we didn't want it there? Like, yeah, let's get rid of that part.
Yeah, that takes way too long.
Yeah, no, that is not lean, a lean process. You need to have it all contained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That being said, this model of bomb did have safety features that were designed to prevent unplanned detonation. One of these were there were safety pins that would manually have to be removed from the bomb like a big nuclear grenade.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, I want this one to be able to be armed. Pull the pin. Other than that, it had 5 other safety measures that I'm not technically savvy enough to explain. I mean, if I was a nuclear engineer, then I doubt I'd have the time to do this. One of the bombs twisted from its rack in all the chaos of the plane breaking apart, causing the safety pins to be pulled out. So they're not that good.
Yeah, some safety pins.
And this bomb was flung out at 9,000 feet. So while it was 9,000 feet is whenever it got flung out of the plane. Since the pins were pulled, the electrical stuff that would normally happen in a live drop kicked off, making the parachute that the bomb had deployed. Remember the parachute I talked about? It's the one that slows it down so that the airplane can fly away.
Yeah.
It's like
a giant fuse.
Yeah, they want to be able to safely blow their target to hell without burning their own ass. We don't do kamikazes. Normally, before dropping the bomb, after the crew pulled the safety pin, the pilot would then flip a switch in the cockpit that would change the bomb from its default safe to armed. Through all the electrical stuff that kicked off in this bomb, it did not switch from safe to armed. So the detonation process stopped there. So pin was pulled, electrical stuff kicked off to make it parachute, but it was never signaled that it was armed. So even whenever it fell in a safe position where it wouldn't blow up. So that's how it stopped like 2 phases into its 6 safety phases. So hooray.
Hooray, yay, yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree. But what if they were meaning to drop that bomb and it didn't do all them steps?
Well, I mean, if they meant to drop it, they do all the things. They pull the safety pin, they flip the switch. It says, goes from safe to armed. And
Okay. I thought you meant once they pulled the pin, it didn't complete the process. It just stopped on its own.
That's just the initial. That's the initial. We're live. Got a live bomb here. You, Mr. Pilot, you can arm this whenever you feel like it. When this bomb was found, it was nose first and upright in the ground. It's pretty funny looking. It's exactly what you think. Big bomb sticking in the ground,
Joe
straight
Dirt.
up and down. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Let's shoot some. What was it? God, what do they shoot at? Roman candles.
Let's put it in a big bucket of gasoline.
It received what they referred to as negligible damage, and was able to be moved to an Air Force base. There they disassembled it, because nobody wants to keep a bomb that's been, rattled around after, falling 9,000
Mm-mm.
feet.
Mm-mm. Buried
Uh,
in the desert.
yeah. This bomb, wait, hold on. Make sure that I'm okay. Yeah. This bomb is the one that makes people especially uncomfortable because um, the one safety switch was the only thing that kept that one from exploding. I mean, but in the end, that safety feature worked. Hooray. But they're like, wow, if that electrical thing would have like jolted that, we'd have had a nuclear explosion. The other bomb didn't get flung out of the plane as easy as the first one. It was flung from the plane somewhere between 5,000 and 2,000 feet in the air. Like the first one, being flung from the plane caused the safety pins to be removed. These are not very good safety pins.
No,
I hope we have better tech nowadays.
I need to
I imagine we
rename
do.
them.
Possibly kind of safe pins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. However, since it was so close to the ground, the parachute did not get a chance to activate, and it hit the ground faster and harder, leaving a big crater and burying itself in the mud. The Air Force dug for 3 days to get it out of the mud, and when they reached it, the safe/arm switch, they were shocked to find it in the armed position.
Oh no.
Now, fortunately, this really wasn't the case. It wasn't actually armed. With it being an electrical switch, it being armed would mean the electrical contacts would be unblocked, allowing a current. The
Mm-hmm.
electrical circuit was never completed. It was the impact that caused the switch to kind of, move to the arm position, but it didn't actually move. It was more of just being jarred. So it never triggered the actual electric part where it break, kind of like when you hit a light switch, you turn it off, you're breaking the contact on the circuit. You turn it
Yeah.
on, you're creating the circuit. That never actually happened. This bomb broke into pieces on impact. It took 6 days of digging for them to recover the primary part of the bomb that contained the nuclear material needed for the fission reaction.
Damn.
Yeah. Now,
Well,
after go on.
I was just gonna say, why did it take so long to dig? Is it because of what they were digging,
Get
or
to it.
what they were digging in? Okay.
Of what they were digging in. After digging down 42 feet, they still hadn't recovered the secondary part of the bomb that contained the material for the fusion reaction part, and they've never been able to locate it. They determined that it would be about 180 feet in the ground, and they just gave it up as buried. The location itself is not a place where digging deep is a viable option. They were dealing with a high water table, which means they're dealing with lots of mud. It's all like mud and dirt sort of things. It's not a place where they could drill. It's not like rock or nothing. It's not where you can like build a mine, dig holes, and put stuff up because it's just big mud slop. So it kind of makes sense that they're just like, you know what? We'll just let the mud have that piece of
Yeah.
the
The
nuclear
horse,
part.
or that bomb's down there with that horse from Neverending Story.
Yeah. His name's Artax.
R2. Artreyu.
No, Atreyu was the boy. Artax is the
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
God, you
I cried
heartless
so
son of a
much as
bitch.
a little boy watching that movie.
So we can feel safe knowing that in North Carolina you got a chunk of a nuclear weapon buried under about 200, almost 200 feet of mud. Should be enough to Of course, with it being high water table, I don't know how I'd feel about it being next to groundwater. That's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
could just be
bad.
mixing it all up.
Nuclear weapons and groundwater. Yeah, that's kind of bad.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see
not
what
good.
happens. Yeah, we'll just play it by ear.
Those three-eyed fish like the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Blinky. Wow, I got through this a lot faster than I thought I would. Is there anything that you wanted to ask that I talked over you on since I've been gabbing this whole time?
No, I've been listening. It's been a pretty riveting stories. It's
And I guess this was
infuriating. I mean, I know most of them seem like they're kind of accidents, but you're carrying a nuclear weapon that weighs 9,000 pounds. That's find the best, safest way to do it. There should be no accidents when it comes to that. None.
Well, I mean, neither one of us are military people, so if there's any
No.
military people that listen, you feel free to like school us in the, what little we understand and know about nuclear weapons. Of course, don't do anything that's classified. I do not want a cavity search from my local FBI agent.
Just from the Customs Patrol agent.
Don't want it from them either. I don't want cavity searches. I'm sensitive. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this one. I feel better about my clumsiness now since none of the times I tripped had the potential of killing millions. Now, like I said before, there are several other incidents like this that, aren't quite like this one because I did all the ones that blew up on or almost blew up or could have blew up on American soil. So there's other kinds we can talk about if you want a part 2. Comment and let us know because there's just an unfortunate amount of number of these. Also, if you're military and you want to set us straight, go ahead and do that. Or if you want to tell us about a time that you were, clumsy enough that where you almost destroyed like a large area, killed millions, if you did something, it's like, yeah, I accidentally, I walked in the outdoor and, all hell broke loose,
Well, us being servers, we had the chance to spill food all the time. So anybody got any of those stories, that'd be nice to hear too.
What, when they drop food?
Like a whole person's tray of food. I mean, you got to go back and recook it all and redo it.
Yeah, but that didn't kill nobody. I want severe injuries.
Oh.
I want, if you slipped on a banana peel and accidentally knocked an old lady down a flight of stairs on her wheelchair, I want to know. I mean,
what's she doing in a stairwell in a wheelchair?
I don't know. Old people on stairs are crazy. I mean, there was that time I was really drunk in Vegas and I saw this old couple fall down on an escalator that was going up and they just kept falling in place over and over. And I was too drunk to help. I'm just like, oh God, if I go over there, I'm just going to start falling with them.
No, so you just sat down and watched.
It's just, I had a cigarette. You couldn't smoke there. Anyway.
It was just too funny to stop at the moment.
I did not think it was funny. I was horrified. And and there was some dude that was already trying to help him. It was one of the things. I'm just going to get in the way. I mean, that day, I think I had like 16 mimosas. I was at an all you can drink brunch. It was so good. And it was
all you can drink.
Yeah. And it was right across from where Pete Rose always was. God rest his soul. So sad. We lost Pete Rose.
Yeah. Well, what's sad about it is now they'll probably put him in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. I mean, I always understood them not putting him in the Hall of Fame as manager, but as a player, it was like a no-brainer. They should have just got over. None of his shady shit was done while he was playing.
No, if they let some of these other people in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another topic, another day.
Yeah. Way off. All right. So join us next time, unless the government accidentally blows us up or triggers a nuclear war by someone sneezing on a nuke. And if we're still here, Jason will tell us about some things that'll make us say, wait, what? Be safe. Watch for nukes. Bye.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for Waywut. We really appreciate you watching or listening. Please subscribe or follow us on your favorite platform to catch our latest episodes that we publish on Tuesdays and sometimes on Fridays. We'd love to hear from you, whether it's rating us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, commenting on our videos or just a podcast episode, or following us and hitting us up on TikTok, Facebook, or X. You can find us there with our handle, Waywut Podcasts. That's WAYWUT Podcast. And that will do it for this episode. Join us next time, and we'll make you say, Waywut.